Hello and happy Wednesday. Today on the Busy Bride podcast, I'm chatting with recently married bride Tina about her wedding weekend in Colorado. Tina and I met working together at a running shoe store in high school. So being able to photograph her wedding and witness all the joy of the weekend years later was so incredibly special. I cannot wait for you to hear about all the amazing moments from the weekend and her proposal where she was covered in mud. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to the Busy Bride podcast. I'm your host, Gabriella Marie, and I created this podcast to help you research vendors and learn valuable advice as you plan the most special and true to you wedding day of your dreams. Let's get started. Hello, Tina. Thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to talk to you about your wedding. It was one of the most incredible days of the year. So why don't you just introduce yourself first, because I might just start talking about it. I want to give you time to speak. So just say your name, where you're located, and how long you've been married for.
My name is Tina. I live in Boulder, Colorado with my now husband, Watson, and we have been married since August 2024, so just a few months, but we've been together for about 8 years now.
How has marriage been these past couple months after being together for like 8 years?
Yeah, I feel like I've gotten that question a lot from like family and friends, and I mean it's exactly the same, right? Like we've been living together for a long time. Our lives have been very integrated for a long time, so we're very lucky in that sense. But there was definitely like a come down after the wedding. Like there's just something so special about having all of your people together, and then we got home and we were like, "Whoa, that was crazy."
Yes, totally. Because you had people come from all over the country. So, yeah, talk about that for a second, because it was kind of like, even though the wedding was in Colorado, it was still kind of destination for you guys too.
Totally. Yeah. So our wedding was just outside Aspen, in Carbondale at a beautiful ranch, Spring Creeks Ranch, in Carbondale. And yeah, it was only a couple hours outside of Boulder, but Watson and I are very lucky that we have been through a lot of different life transitions together. So we met in college, we were teammates, and that was when we started dating. And then we moved together to San Francisco in 2018 after we graduated, and then a couple years, 4-ish years later, we moved to Boulder for me to do my PhD. And so we've had these like three very big moves, and the communities that we've developed and all of the places we've lived have kind of been near and dear to us and come with us on all of those adventures. So we've kept in close touch with all of our friends, and we're so lucky to have like shared friends in all of these places. So it made it so like we had people from all over, which is so special.
Yeah, it was really cool to witness all of those people coming together and to just see all of the hugs happening and like the screams and the smiles and oh my gosh, you're here. And there's so many parts to your wedding weekend that I want to talk about in regards to that. But I don't want to skip over the beginning part of the marriage process. So, can you can you tell everybody how you got engaged, cuz it's pretty dope.
Oh my gosh. So yes, we got engaged in Patagonia in a remote national park outside of a small town called Coyhaique, and we were backpacking. So we went on like a 3-day backpacking trip that ended up getting cut to 2 days because there was some landslide or something that like closed part of the trail. Anyway, uh, yeah, so we started this hike and we got to the up this like one part of the mountain and set up our little tents, whatever. It was great. There was nobody around, and it kind of starts raining. It's pretty gross out. And Watson's like, I really want to go to this like alpine lake. Like here it is on the map. It's only like a mile away. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, I guess, like, you're only in a remote national park once, like, we can go, but it's like pouring. So put on our rain gear and start walking, and like we're like 10 steps outside of camp and I fall into a mud pit, like literally like up to probably my thighs. I'm like
Oh
in
my
mud.
gosh.
And Watson's like, oh my God. He's like, do you want to go back? And I was like, you don't, so I guess we'll keep going.
Oh my
And so I'm
gosh.
like trudging along, and he's like dropping me. He never drops me. He's like up like 100 meters ahead of me, like scrambling over these rocks. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what is going on? And I don't know. I had kind of inklings of like, maybe this is like he's proposing, whatever. But then in my head, I'm like, we shared a carry on. Like, there's no way this man checked a ring through like however many tiny little airports we've been traveling. And that would be crazy, right? Anyway, we get up to this like little lake, and it is beautiful, and we're the only people up there. And he's like setting up his phone on a rock, and I'm like, oh my God, is he serious? And yeah, he had like memorized this whole speech. It was very cute. He proposed. It was like just us on this really beautiful glacial lake. And then yeah, it was incredible. It was very funny. There's like a bunch of selfies of us, and I'm like covered in mud, just disheveled, which, wouldn't have it any other way, but it was very funny.
That's amazing. I love that story so much. I didn't know you fell in mud right beforehand.
Yeah,
Oh,
brutal. It'll get you.
yeah. Brutal. And so he did end up checking the ring, like in checked baggage.
Yes. Yes. And my friends were like, what? He also like one of my childhood best friends, Davy, I guess she didn't know he was proposing, but like had in previous conversations, she was like, if you do not make sure her nails are painted, like I will kill you. And like for context, like yeah, my nails are painted now, but they are never painted. Like never, never. And so he was like, I can't like tell her to paint her nails or she'll like really be on to me. So he like hiked up this mountain with nail polish, like just to please Davy. And we got back to the tent, and he was like, here you go.
Oh my gosh.
So I have like a headlamp on, and I'm like painting my nails, like literally just for Davy. Like I don't care about this at all, but
That's
like
amazing. What a
for the memory
sweet
of it.
man. That's incredible. I also didn't know about that. I love that part of the story. Wow. So you come back from Patagonia, you have a ring safely on your finger now.
Yeah, to
What
Watson's relief, I'm sure.
yeah. What did you think about when you're starting to plan your wedding, thinking about having all these people come together? What was kind of like the vision for that happening?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. I think like we kind of set out the must-haves that really defined beyond just like budget, of course, is like an obvious one. The things that we like really needed to have in a venue were a place for an outdoor wedding, lodging on site or very close by, like walking distance. We didn't want to have to bus people around. We didn't like I just didn't want all that chaos. I wanted people to be able to like party and then roll home. Um, so yeah, outdoor wedding, kind of central area where everyone could stay, and I wanted like a space where we could have different events throughout the weekend. It was like not lost on me that it's not super easy for everyone to come to Colorado, and I wanted to make it like a weekend. So that was like those were the main things. And I wanted my dogs in my wedding. That was the only other thing. Like some places were like no pets, and I was like,
That's
that
crazy.
doesn't feel right.
They definitely don't have pets.
Um so yeah, that those were the main things. I knew I wanted to have like events, and I wanted to have the welcome party and the rehearsal dinner and the wedding kind of all in one central location to minimize logistics for everyone. So that was probably the biggest thing. That's kind of where how we settled on like this on this ranch.
Okay. I loved the ranch. It was a family owned ranch, right?
Yeah.
So having access to it the whole weekend and having somebody like a point of contact who you could talk to and who was kind of helping out the whole weekend, I feel like that was really helpful too.
Oh my gosh, yes. Tanner was great. He was so kind. I can't recommend it enough. He just like every time I feel like I felt like I needed something. I turned around and he's like smiling and like has it in his hands. I'm like, ugh, so great. It's like you've done this before.
Yes, yeah, no, he was amazing. I loved working there. Okay. So everybody's coming together. It's a wedding weekend. It's in rural Colorado. What's the wedding vibe? Like what are the details?
Mm. Good question. I'm not the most detail oriented person, to be honest. I like had my big vision of like these are the things I want to do and these are the things that are important to me. Things that were not important to me were what the tables looked like, what my flowers looked like like it was important to me in the sense that I wanted it to be nice, but I just like didn't have a vision for it beyond like, oh, these are the colors that I think would look good. So luckily for us, we had like an amazing planner. We hired a lovely woman named Chelsea, and I pretty much told her that. I was like, look, these are the colors I want. I like these colors. The bridesmaids will wear this. It's a fall wedding. Like, I trust you. And she blew me away. It was amazing. She sent me a florist and said, like, she'll do it. She'll do the flowers and she'll make sure your dogs have flowers. And I was like, great. And she was like, here's a picture of like what the tables will look like. And I was like, love it. So I will say, like, I was able to kind of like move the things that didn't matter to me so much off my plate. And then I got to focus all my energy on like what did matter to me, which was like the party and like all of the parties. So like the welcome party, the rehearsal dinner party, the after party, whatever.
Yes, I think that's so great. And I love that you and Watson were able to like sit down and really say like, okay, we care about this stuff and we're going to focus our attention on this stuff and then the rest like not so much. And I feel like that's not really talked about a lot with wedding planning. I think a lot of times it's like, okay, so do you care about like, how the napkins are folded, right? Or like you care about like this specific flower being included in your bouquet, right? And some people do, which is great, but I don't think there's a lot of space for people who like don't. Like you want it to be nice and you want it to be pretty, but like do you want to spend the energy flipping through a booklet of different ways you can fold napkins? No. Or like the
Totally,
different types
totally.
of gold silverware you can have? No. Because there are
Absolutely.
booklets.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think too, like it's like if you're like creating a company or like a group of people or something, right? Like I know what I'm not good at, and it's picking out flowers. So
yeah.
outsource it to someone
Yeah.
who's really good at it. And like I think that was like a big lesson for us. Like you hire these people to help you, and so you should trust them. And I think that putting your efforts into like really like picking out people you trust just makes the whole process so much easier. I mean, we had a great photographer for that same reason. So
Thanks. Yeah, no, I can totally see how that makes a big difference. And Chelsea, your wedding planner, she really crushed it. Like the
she did.
tablescapes, I had no idea you didn't care about them because they were so beautiful. Same thing with the flowers, like had no clue that it was just like these colors because it was beautiful. Like the whole day was just gorgeous. So it really like choosing vendors that you trusted to do their job really did pay off in the end. Like it made a huge difference because the weekend was amazing. So
Oh, I love to hear that. That's awesome. Thank you.
yes, it was great. Um, okay, so let's get to the wedding weekend. So the welcome party rehearsal dinner. I I didn't realize it was going to turn into a welcome party. So talk about that because that was really really cool.
Yeah. Well, so we had all these people coming from out of town. Both like my super close friends. I had a bunch of bridesmaids that were not from Colorado, and then just other friends. And so it was pretty important to us to have like space to spend time with everyone. And so we had starting at like maybe 4 p.m. We had like all the bridesmaids and close family get together to do the actual like ceremony rehearsal. And then we rolled straight into the rehearsal dinner, which was also at the ranch. And there was like dinner. we had food trucks. It was awesome. And like some speeches. And then there was like 2 hours for dinner, and then it rolled into a welcome party. And we had like the barn and then this outdoor space, which is great because it absolutely downpoured.
It did.
Um, and so yeah, we could just like move inside and like catch up with everyone. And yeah, I felt like that was all just like surreal. Like you're seeing everyone, you get to like catch up with everyone. I didn't want the first time I saw most of my guests to be on my wedding day because I just felt like it was going to be chaotic. So that was really cool. And then we ended up like going into downtown Carbondale and like staying out probably way too late, but that was really really fun.
That's amazing. And downtown Carmel too, it's like super small town, right? Like very teeny tiny rural Colorado town. So
Oh
that
my gosh.
I can
Yeah, like a
so
Western
see.
dive bar, like exactly my.
Yes,
It was great.
perfect. Yeah. And I think it really does make a difference when you're able to like say the initial hello and hug people before you're like also preoccupied with getting married and like having a first dance and listening to like speeches and doing parent days and all that stuff. So I think it's great that you're able to do that and just say hello and actually have a conversation with different people.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that if I could go back and do it again, I felt like I wasn't very good at being like the center of attention in the way that like I feel like I was talking to someone and I was like, "Oh, I need to go like say hi to all these other people." Like I think it took me almost that event to like start to feel present in the weekend, which I mean, I feel like a lot of people can probably resonate with that feeling where you're like,
Yeah.
"Whoa, like all these people are here for me. That's crazy."
It is crazy. That doesn't happen super often in your life. So I'm glad you got to the point that you're like, okay, I can be this person and like the day is for me and for my husband and that's like the way it's gonna be and that's why they're here. And so even though it took you an event to get there, I think that's still great that you were able to get there and realize that. So that's an amazing thing. Um but the weekend didn't end there because the next morning what happened?
Gosh, this is like such a highlight. So Watson and I met on our cross country and track team in college. So big runners. A lot of our friends are big runners. A lot of our friends are freak athletes. So we we hosted a pre-wedding 5K at the ranch where we had this 5K. We gave away shot skis to the male and female winner. It had rained the night before, so it was kind of an obstacle course mud fest. There was a water crossing. It was sweet. Some of our Boulder teammates set up little signs marking the course, which was super cute.
And they were like really cute signs, like it said, run for your wife instead of run for your life. Like little cute things like that.
It was very cute. Yeah, we have some very creative and funny people in our lives. We're very lucky. So yeah, and honestly, I was blown away by the attendance. I think like 80 or 90% of the people who went to the wedding went to this 5K. We had a little coffee stand set up where people could get like lattes and stuff, and like some people just kind of walked and some people ran and some people really raced because they wanted the shot ski. So yeah, that was fun. I like ran it like in reverse for some of it and just like caught up with people and sprinted around. And gosh, that was so fun. And then I felt like it gave everyone a forum to kind of come together the morning of. And like, like most people during a wedding, when they're wedding guests, like they don't have to be anywhere until like 4 p.m. and you're in this beautiful town. And I heard so many stories of like my friends and Watson's friends who like did not know each other prior to the wedding meeting at like the 5K or the welcome party, and then they went on a hike for the day, or like they all got lunch together. And that was so cool. I like didn't anticipate that, and I like could not be happier that that happened. Like what a cool thing.
Yeah, that is so cool. And I also feel like there's definitely friend groups coming from different places. So there was not many people who came and didn't know anybody there. But
Mhm.
having that 5K the morning of, there was so much time to just kind of chat and meet new people that even if you didn't go on an adventure right afterwards, when you got to the wedding later that day, it's like, oh, hey, I know you. Let's have another conversation, a cocktail hour, instead of walking around and be like, okay, who are we gonna talk to? Like it broke the ice a little bit.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it was amazing, and the coffee was delicious. I got it was like a lavender latte or something. It was amazing.
Oh my gosh. And they were so nice. They stayed
So
like well
nice.
after the 5K. So like while we were getting ready, I would like sneak out and I'd be like, "Can I have
Oh my gosh, it's
another coffee?"
amazing. That's like perfect the morning getting ready for your wedding.
Yes, I was very caffeinated. It was awesome.
That's amazing. I love that. Hey, hey! I wanted to take a quick pause from today's episode to talk about a brand I absolutely love, Artifact Uprising. If you're in the midst of planning your wedding, you know just how many little details there are to think about. And one thing I always recommend to my couples is investing in beautiful, high quality stationery that truly reflects the style of your big day. And that's where Artifact Uprising comes in. From stunning save the dates to elegant thank you cards to custom photo books filled with your engagement photos that you can use as a guest book at your wedding, Artifact Uprising makes it easy to add a personal touch throughout your wedding journey. And as a photographer, I love the way their designs complement beautiful photos and their paper quality is top notch. So here's a little something just for you. If you use the code Gabriella15 at checkout, you'll get 15% off your order. Whether you're curating the perfect invite suite or putting together a custom guest book, Artifact Uprising has you covered with gorgeous, easy to design options that make your wedding look and feel even more special. So head over to artifactuprising.com, use code Gabriella15, GABRIELLA15 for 15% off, and start creating something beautiful today. Now let's get back to today's episode. How was the getting ready process? Because so the venue, the 5K was on site too. So then
Mhm.
getting ready just kind of like went inside, and there's a little bridal suite. What was the morning like with your friends getting ready?
Yeah, it was awesome. The getting ready areas had like shower areas and stuff, and some family brought us bagels. And so yeah, we pretty much went in and some of the ladies were getting hair done. So they kind of like started going through and everyone just kind of like trickled in and it was just so cute. Like I I like look back on like pictures and videos of like those moments with like the incredible women that you're closest with. And I'm just like so grateful. I mean, we got ready, like we sang, we listened to music, we talked, like before we all went out, like we were all just like dancing in the dressing room and like singing and it was so special and um yeah, I mean my friends are gorgeous. They all looked incredible. Like I feel like as they were all getting ready, I was like, "Oh my god." So that was great. That was just like so special.
Yes, and I feel like your friend group is also very encouraging. I feel like is that a good word? They are very much encouraging people and they love to cheer people on. So I feel
They are
like that throughout
really
they're hype people the whole day. I mean, they were cheering you and your husband on so much and it was so fun to see cuz it was in like the fun moments like when you walked out in your dress for the first time and when you got married and then like the dance floor and the first dance they were cheering you on, but also like for the really sweet and intimate moments, they were also there like cheering you on, not hype, but like in a really sweet way, like close to tears. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And like that's not just like because it was my wedding, like they're like that for everything. It's so special. Like I can't say enough good things about those women, but also just like that moment having all of them together was so special and like that doesn't really get to happen that often. So I think it was something I was like really happy to soak in.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's tough to get so many people you love together in one room for a common purpose just because life is so different for so many different people at any given point in time. So, I'm glad you got to have that experience with all of them in one place. Um, so question for you. I loved your first look private vows moment, but I was kind of far away, so I didn't really hear much of what was going on. How was that moment for you? Because you had a beautiful private first look, next to a stream under a willow tree with like mountains in the distance, and then you shared private vows, and it looked beautiful.
Yeah, it was really, really special. I think that was that was something that was like pretty important to Watson, my husband. He just like didn't feel like he would feel as comfortable saying everything he wanted to say in front of a big crowd of people, which I totally understand. I kind of felt the same way. And so it was something like we just kind of did without thinking about it. We were like, yeah, we'll just do it like on our own at some point. And like I didn't really appreciate how like everyone involved in our wedding made that happen. Like they were like, okay, we'll do the first look here, we'll make it happen here, blah, blah, blah. And so I felt like it was just like something that was important to us because of the moment we wanted to share. And we really tried to set aside some intentional time to stop and be like, this is amazing and it's gonna go by really fast. And so yeah, I mean, grateful to the people that made that happen. Like Chelsea really made that happen. I feel like you scoped out a spot for it and like yeah, it was really special. We had a lot of fun, like writing our vows, and yeah, it was a really special moment.
I love that. Were you were you surprised by anything in that moment? Like, did you have any emotions that surprised you, or did Watson say anything that you were like, "Oh my gosh, wow, that really hits," or anything like that?
I I don't know that there was like anything specific in the vows. Like I think it's really Watson is an incredible partner and he is like very good at vocalizing the reasons he loves me and all of these things like day to day. So that's really amazing, but I think to like hear something that like he wrote and have it he has it like written out I mean, I don't know, the whole moment was just like really special and I wouldn't say like I expected everything he said, but you could just tell that it was really heartfelt and sweet. So, yeah, nothing specific, but I felt really glad that we did that. I feel like that is like something that will stick in our minds forever and I also just look forward like in anniversaries down the line like rereading those vows and kind of like reliving that.
Totally. I'm so glad that you guys had that moment because I can see how it's so special, and now that you say that, I can see how like someone you love so much going through the effort to like sit down and think and then write out the things that they want to say to you on your wedding day. Like that's so sweet, so special. And I'm glad you guys got to have that moment privately too. Cuz that's a core memory in itself cuz you also have the ceremony, which is another core memory.
Totally,
But
totally.
yes. Do you want to talk about the ceremony? How was that for you? Cuz I it was a beautiful place. You guys were in front of a mountain. All of your friends and family were sitting in chairs watching you guys. How did it feel to also see your dogs there and then to like walk down the aisle as a married couple?
Yes, our dogs were so drugged. It was great. Like
They were living their best lives.
they were zooted, like, to the gills. Those yeah, I mean, we have 2 high energy dogs for context who, like, could not have handled this any other way. So they were a bit sedated, but, you know, vet approved. It was all kosher. But yeah, no, that was honestly, like, I had had a lot of anxiety about, like, the actual ceremony just because, like, I like, everyone looking at you in, like, a dress, like, doing this whole thing, like, I was just so overwhelmed by it, and, it ended up being totally fine. I It was amazing. I, like, cried coming down the aisle, because it was just, like, so overwhelming, like, happy cry. Like, I was like, "Wow, this is amazing." And it ended up being perfect. I think I'm super happy we did, like, a pretty short ceremony. My childhood best friend Davy officiated, which was beautiful. We had our bridesmaids up there and the dogs, and yeah, it was super special. Honestly, like, I think all I had to do was say I do, which is kind of how we had it set up because I was like, I'm going to be overwhelmed. Let's just short and sweet. We'll do our vows before. It'll be great. Like, Watson didn't really want the first look to be as I was coming down the aisle because it like was just already such an overwhelming thing. Um, so yeah, I feel like we did it exactly how we wanted it. Which power to you if you have the ability to be calm, cool, and collected in those kinds of situations. I do not, so I feel like we catered the ceremony to like exactly what we wanted. And honestly, it was hot and pretty sunny, and like it was great. People didn't have to be out there for that long.
Yeah, no, it was beautiful. And like I'm glad you guys stuck to what you felt comfortable with so that it was just as you needed it to be the best moment it could have been.
Totally.
Yeah, and I love when couples are able to do that. And so seeing each other beforehand, would you say that it didn't take away at all from still walking down the aisle and seeing Watson there waiting for you?
No, I'd say it was perfect because like we felt very connected beforehand. And I think that I mean, so much of a wedding is like for your loved ones, right? Like, again, nothing changed for Watson and I after we were married, but so much of this is like a celebration of our love. And so, like, for us, we felt that we could like celebrate and give honor to kind of everything we have by having something privately and then doing this ceremony like in that way. And so I feel like nothing took away from that moment. It was super special. But like that moment was really for our friends and family and all the people that had traveled, and that ceremony was for them, and like in such an appreciative way. You know what I mean? Like the private vows were for us and the ceremony was for us to share with all of our loved ones. So I think that all of it had a beautiful purpose, and I really liked how it was set up.
That's amazing. I love that idea. Or I guess that explanation. That's so beautiful. So, after you're married, it's time to celebrate. What was one of your favorite parts after getting married? Because you had cocktail hour, you had the most incredible toasts in the whole entire world, and
My
then you
God.
had a crazy party.
Yes, what they say about like making sure you eat is like totally true. I like 100% did not eat enough. And I drank a lot. So I
Pretty
think,
common.
yeah. Um, I I mean the best part was the dance party. But closely followed by we like snuck away to do some sunset photos after dinner, which was awesome. We had like a few drinks in us and I feel like we were just being silly in ourselves, and that was so fun, and it like primed us to like go back and dance, which was great. Um, yeah, my grandma gave a great speech. She's absurd. I love her so much. She gave a great speech, and then Watson's dad gave an awesome speech. So I felt like in my head, I was like, I don't want people sitting for that long. Like this is like an active group. No one like the dance floor is going to be a highlight of everyone's night. So like I want to get there and I don't want people to be like, "Oh, I'm so full, I can't dance." So dinner, I was like, "Let's do dinner. We're going to do like carving stations. People can get up, mingle, get food. We'll do two like short speeches and then I want people like dancing." And that was exactly how it went, which was great. I feel like we came back from like sunset photos and people were on the dance floor and I was like, perfect.
Yes, and it was like you said, the dance floor was packed and full of energy from the very beginning, which was amazing.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends afterwards, like singing the DJ's praises. Like also a bunch of people went up to Watson like um during the dance party and they were like, I have to pee, but I can't because like he's just playing banger after banger. So yeah, I mean like our DJ was incredible, not only for the after party, like that was a huge highlight, but I felt like he kept the flow of the night going really, really well, which I feel like that's one of those things where when it's good, you don't notice that like the night is flowing along, but when it's not good, it's bad.
That's so
Um,
true.
yeah, so I was super grateful for our DJ. He did such an amazing job. I can't say enough good things about him.
Do you
So
follow him on Instagram by
I
chance?
do.
Did
Yes.
you see that he DJ'd, I think, the US Open?
Yeah, he like Taylor Swift was like dancing to one of
Yeah.
his playlists. Like he's
Yes.
he's he's
He
awesome.
was, can confirm, he was absolutely incredible. I mean, we went to high school right around the same time. I graduated a year behind you. And so he was playing the peak songs of our like growing up adolescence
Mhm.
constantly. I There was not a single song that I didn't know the words to, that I didn't love, that wasn't like a song I wanted to dance to. And he didn't like mix it too crazy like some DJs do. You're like, is this a beat drop? I don't know how to dance to this. He kept it going so well. Like, I
Mhm.
do remember talking to some of your guests too, like just saying, wow, like this DJ's amazing, this is so much fun. So he
He
was
did
great.
not miss. He did
He
not
did
miss.
not miss at all night. So cannot recommend him enough. And you also had the wands, which were so fun, like the little colorful wands. I feel
Yes.
like if you have an active group that's going to be dancing, that's always a great option.
Watson gets all the credit for that. He went on Amazon like a couple weeks before and was like, dance props, dance props, dance props. And so he got like some of the inflatable instruments and like the light up sunglasses. And I feel like I think that like maybe before the welcome party he was like in the dressing room just like blowing up all these
Oh
inflatables or
my
something.
gosh.
I don't know when he did it, but the pictures of everyone like with all the props were really fun.
There were so many props. Like it seemed to me like it was a bunch of like inflatable things you would see in a pool, like as like things to play with as like for kids, but as props in a dance floor, and that was kind of the vibes.
Oh my god, yes. And one of our groomsmen like became attached to um one of the inflatable microphones and like we had to like pry it out of his hands before the ceremony because he'd be like he'd go up to talk to someone and like in his like suit we're like taking pictures and he's like hello like how's your day it's like interviewing Connell put
I
the,
think I
the
did get interviewed by him on the
yeah
dance floor.
yeah
That's amazing. But hey, that's what you know. When your props are resonating with your guests so much, that's an amazing thing.
absolutely.
And then I also want to talk about your dress change. You had a dress change and a shoe change for the reception. Tell me all about that.
Well, my dress was like so fun. It was like my wedding dress was beautiful. It was like this lace thing. It was gorgeous. I loved it. But it was kind of like tight and fragile and your girl likes to dance. So
Yeah.
I changed into kind of like a silk thing and I had really sparkly cowboy boots, which was very fun. And we got all of our like bridesmaids and groomsmen like white sneakers to change into, so I felt like we were all ready to dance. And I also just loved that moment. Like that was like at that point I think I'd had enough drinks in me to like be really excited to like go out and start dancing, and like I didn't mind being the center of attention. I'm a terrible dancer. That didn't matter. It was great. And so yeah, I just felt like I like put on this new dress and it wasn't like a wedding anymore. It was just like my party, our party. Um and that was great. That was really really fun. I need to find a way to bring DJ Triz back
Yes.
somewhere in like 5 years and do that all again. Just the dance party.
Yeah. Just have a reunion just for the reception
Yeah.
and bring the DJ back. But you did, it looked like a really fun moment when you walked into the reception with the new dress and the sparkly boots. Like you kind of got, everybody's already standing, but it kind of seemed like a standing ovation. Like, let's go, Tina! And you came in, and one of your friends like twirled you around, and everybody started dancing, and it was like a whole thing. I remember it vividly because I was like, dang, this is such a cool moment.
Aw, thank you. Yeah, I remember that too. That was really fun. And it was just all timed perfectly. Like the sun was going down, people were dancing, and I just felt like it was like a perfect segue um into the end of the night. Yeah.
Love that so much. Is there anything about your wedding day that you would have done differently now that you have been through it? Or did everything like end up being absolutely perfect?
Anything about the wedding day? I wish I had like consciously built in time to like stand up at dinner and thank everyone. It just we were going table to table and thanking everyone kind of individually, but I didn't really like address the group at my wedding at all. And neither did Watson. We just kind of like were in the middle of everything. And I mean, I think that's fine, but I do wish I'd had like had the mind to like stop and be like, thank you all so much. We kind of did it more individually, but I that's probably something I wish I had done that I didn't get to do.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to think about that when you're in the moment too, because again, you are thanking everybody individually, and then you have people standing up and giving you toast, and all of a sudden, oh no, it's time to eat, and oh, we have to go do this now, and then it just kind of happens all at once. So I think that is something that needs to be thought out beforehand, but it's definitely not like, a must do because you are talking to people and thanking them. But I totally see what you mean, how that could have been cool to have been like, wow, everybody all at once, thank you for coming.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's probably the only thing. I think it really was like credit to all of our vendors and like our people and stuff. Like it was great. I More things could have gone wrong, honestly. I was surprised. It was like perfect.
Yeah, there were, like I was kind of wondering like, what is she gonna answer this? Because I feel like I don't think of
Yeah,
anything that yeah.
totally. I feel like you go into a wedding and you're like, at least for me, I was like, something's gonna go wrong. Like you don't have a whole weekend where nothing goes wrong. Like something will go wrong and we'll just roll with it and it'll be fine. And then I feel like by the end I was like,
It was
okay,
great.
you sure?
Yeah. No, it was great. Um, did you have a favorite part of the whole weekend that really stands out to you as like peak living?
Oh my gosh, just one?
I know. Maybe one we didn't talk about yet.
Gosh, that was really hard. I mean, I think before I went out to the first look with Watson, just I mean that period where like I came out in my dress and like I was just like dancing with like my bridesmaids and like we had shared bridesmaids and groomsmen, so like I got to see like my guy best friends and like hug them and just like take in the moment. And then we did the first look and then like we did photos with all of our closest friends, and I feel like that was like just really special like quality time with all of them that I really cherished. Same with like the rehearsal dinner, like that was so fun. Just yeah, moments where like and Watson and I had a few of these moments ourselves where you could just be like, like we're so lucky, like this is so special. Like any of those moments where you could just kind of like zoom out and realize how lucky we were to have all these incredible people, is probably those are the top.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like that's such a great mindset to approach your wedding with too. Is like, dang, we have all these people coming here to celebrate us. That is so special. I love that so
Totally.
much. So, wrapping up, I'll ask this last question to everybody on the podcast. And it is, what is your biggest piece of advice for couples getting married? Either like biggest planning tip or biggest wedding day, I'm going to live this day to my fullest tip.
Totally. I think my biggest one would be get vendors that you really trust, so that you don't have to think about things. Like I didn't think about any logistics during my wedding because I just had full trust that it was handled and those and it was. So I think that yeah, I had full trust that the DJ was going to be great because I talked to him and I knew he was great. Same with our planner, same with our photographer, same with like the whole team. So I just feel like living your day to the fullest, like having people that you really trust, even if like, a planner isn't in your isn't something that you're doing, like just whoever is setting up and whoever is in charge of the flow of your wedding, like it just shouldn't be you. So like, have people that you trust to like kind of move you through your day and be there for you, because then you get to fully enjoy it. And there wasn't even space in my brain for me to like say thank you to everyone. Like there's
Yeah.
no time, set yourself up for success in that way is probably what I would say.
Love that answer so much, and it makes so much sense because if you trust people to do the job, then you can just be you and enjoy everything else. So,
Absolutely.
so great recapping your wedding day, Tina. I love the day so much. I'm so glad you loved the day and the weekend so much. And it was amazing getting to rehash it with you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. And yeah, and the photos that you gave us are something that I will like cherish forever. So amazing job, and it is always a pleasure to catch up.
Makes me so happy. I love these episodes so much where I get to relive a wedding day with the bride who actually like lived it and experienced it, because I obviously have a very different experience from the couple as the photographer on a wedding day. So hearing Tina's perspective about how insanely cool it was to see all of her and her husband's people from around the country together in one place, celebrating them and bonding with each other was awesome. And I loved her experience with the first look and private vows versus the ceremony vows. Feeling like that moment for the private first look and private vows was just for her and her husband. And then the ceremony and the ceremony vows were for all of the guests, and how both of them were super special in their own ways. So I hope you loved hearing about this wedding and took something home with you to make your own wedding day or weekend even more special. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate your time. Now, go hug your person, and I will see you next Wednesday.